They all get their call signs in their name.
Yes, it will be very helpful if you can, as some of you have your call sign in your name, you can rename. There's a function to rename, and if you can put your call, it will be helpful. As ENG Victor Alpha 3 Quebec Tango has, it's excellent, so we can know all the call. Tom, thank you.
Yes, you're going to have to omit your last name in many cases, or your family name in many cases. So it'd be something like what I have, what Tommy has, and so on, so that we can see your call.
That's helpful, and that helps us to see where people are coming from, like Hilton from Brazil, Clifford from Trinidad, and so on.
By the way, the YouTube channel is live now, so you can start.
Okay, well, let's wait to the hour for the people will arrive, no?
Yes.
As the previous events, we can start right at the hour.
Okay.
Vishnu is in.
Whiskey.
Yeah, Vishnu, every time I send him the invite, I feel bad because we're waking up at 5 in the morning.
Yes. Hello, Vishnu.
Oh, good morning, Ramon. Good morning.
Great to have you again on a seminar from Indonesia. Vishnu is the president of IARU Region 3, the Yankee Bravo Zero Alpha Zulu. He's in Jakarta. 5 in the morning or so for him.
Yeah, good evening for all of you. Thank you.
Good to see you, Vishnu.
We let you sleep an hour later this time, Vishnu. Oh, we also have Rod Stafford here from ARL. He's back for yet another stint as their international affairs vice president. Hi, Rod.
Hey, how you doing, George? Yes, I'm one of the retreads.
Aren't we all?
Nice to see you.
Hi, Rod.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Rod.
Yes,
Hello.
Cesar. Oh, sorry. Who was that?
Yes, or Gustavo. I don't know.
Sí.
Okay. And how are we doing on? Okay, we've got nine on Facebook, but that sorry, YouTube, but that also includes me since I'm also checking it.
Usually the ones on YouTube arrive a bit late.
Yeah.
No, it starts slow, but last time how many we had?
Oliver, K6OLI, I don't see your smiling face.
That's because I don't have a camera set up on this computer. So you'll have to imagine me. I think you've seen enough of me lately. Good seeing you.
I don't want to remember. Goodbye.
I can ask Sean to come on.
That would be perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, keep dreaming. K6OLI.
Okay, 2 minutes to go.
What we really need to do, Ramon, is we need to make a little short 5-minute promo video at the beginning we can use as sort of our interval signal.
I agree. Yes, that's a good idea, George.
Tommy, I can't stop laughing. I'm sorry. Every time you move, that hair of yours, woo!
Hey,
That's the highlight.
tropical breezes.
Yeah, so all the tropical breezes, yeah.
You would have enjoyed Southern Ontario. We broke record temperature lows, not last night, but the night before, -3 Celsius in the middle of May.
Ooh,
Oh my, oh.
Just a little bit of snow.
We didn't get that down here in the tropics of Canada. He lives 90 kilometers north of me.
Well, I think we are about to start. Thank you very much for coming all on time. My name is Ramon Santoyo, X-ray Echo 1 Kilo Kilo. I am the IARU Region 2 President, and we are delighted to have you here. We have two extraordinary speakers. We had this same workshop a week ago exclusively for some countries in the Caribbean that we commit with the Caribbean Telecommunication Union before the hurricane seasons to talk about WinLink and about emergency communication. But we have a very wide request for people to attend, so that's why we decided to make one open to everyone. Anyhow, we are happy to see some people, some friends from the Caribbean, like Tommy 9 Yankee 4 Tango, who is part of our executive committee in Trinidad, and Clifford 9 Zulu 3 Charlie Hotel, also from Trinidad and Tobago, and as well as I mentioned before, yes. And as I mentioned before, we have also other countries. Augusto, who is our workshop coordinator from Peru. Vishnu, the IARU Region 3 President, who is here from Jakarta, Indonesia. So I don't want to take more time. I just want to introduce you to George, Victor Echo 3 Yankee Victor. George Gortling is the IARU Region 2 Secretary, and he is the one who he's the master of ceremony of this conference. So,
okay, thank you very much. Yes, Ramon and I agreed. Okay, what we need to do is we need to mute everybody. Augusto, if you could, please.
You need to unmute yourself, George.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Everybody's muted.
You. I'll eventually learn how all this stuff works. Okay, anyhow, thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. This is the third workshop we've done, and between the pent-up demand for workshops, as people are very interested, and the fact that most of us are stuck at home still and have nothing better to do with our time, we've got a huge interest again. But this is great. The Caribbean workshop and also the very first one we did in Spanish just were absolutely blew us away with how many people attended. It's been quite an exciting ride, and we're really enjoying it. I'd also like to introduce. We've already met Augusto here. You see his picture on the screen. Augusto is our workshops coordinator, and for the past month, because a month ago we didn't have a workshops coordinator, he has been scrambling and working very hard to get all this set up and running. So it's been quite an adventure for all of us, and he's done a terrific job. So really thank you for picking this up, Augusto. It was a lot of work. And he's in Lima, Peru, incidentally. Okay, the other person I would like to identify here is Cesar Pia Santos, who is our emergency communications emergency communications coordinator for Region 2. And Cesar has joined us tonight. So welcome to you, Cesar, as well. And also I'd like to recognize Rod Stafford from who's VP International Affairs at ARL. Welcome, Rod, and as well. Before we begin tonight's workshop, for those of you who don't know, what is IARU Region 2 and what is IARU? IARU, the International Amateur Radio Union, is an umbrella organization of all of the national societies from the various countries around the world. So in the case of the US, it's American Radio Relay League, ARL. In the case of Canada, it's Radio Amateurs of Canada, and so on in all the other countries. So the purpose of IARU is to provide a common focal point to promote amateur radio and specifically to deal with issues of protecting and gaining spectrum for the amateur radio service around the world. So one of IARU's major activities is to be a representative of amateur radio at the ITU and the World Radio Conferences for that exact reason. Now, only member nations can vote at the ITU communications conferences. However, IARU has standing as an associate member, which means we are allowed to go be observers. We can participate. We just can't do a final vote. So that gives us a very strong influence there. In terms of individuals, how you support IARU, how you become, if you will, a member of IARU is through your member society. So what I would encourage you to do, if there's anybody on this call who is not currently a member of their member society, and since most of you are in Canada and the US, that would be either RAC, Radio Amateurs of Canada in Canada, or in ARL in the US, I encourage you to join and support all of the work they do inside your country with your regulators and all the other activities promoting amateur radio, as well as that helps support IARU, which gives us the international voice, which is so critical because radio waves don't stop at national boundaries. So we have to have an overall international approach to amateur radio. Region 2, ITU, the International Telecommunications Union, is organized in 3 regions. Europe, Africa is region 1. Region 2 are the Americas, we're region 2, and region 3 is Asia Pacific. And Vishnu, Yankee Bravo Zero Alpha Zulu, is also on the call. He is president of region 3. So that's what we're all about. And please visit our website. The English language website is www.iaru-r2.org, and then do a / for EN for the English version. If you don't put the EN in, it will default to Spanish because the majority of our countries and our member societies speak Spanish, not English. So for those of us who speak English, we have to type 3 extra characters. The format for this evening. We're going to have 2 speakers. First of all, we're going to have Jason Tremblay, Victor Echo 3, Juliet X-Ray Tango speak. And then we're going to have Mike, who is X-Ray Echo 2 / November 6. And well, Mike will introduce himself. I'm sorry, Mike. I didn't write it down and my brain's a sieve this evening. But what we're
November
going
6 Kilo Zulu Bravo.
Thank you, Ramon. This is why he's president and I'm just a lowly secretary. What we're going to do in the format of the talks tonight is Jay is going to speak. Then we're going to hold questions until after Mike has also spoken. And the reason for that is, so please note your questions as we go on. The reason for that is very simple, and that is some of the topics Jay is going to be introducing, Mike may well be addressing further in his talk. And if not, then we'll open it up to questions and answers afterwards. For those of you on YouTube, use the chat function. Augusto will be monitoring that. And on Zoom, of course, we can open it up and you can do your questions directly with audio. But on YouTube, you're not left out. Just put your questions in chat. Augusto will introduce those and we'll get to you as well. So it's time for me to shut up here, other than to let me introduce Jay. Jason Tremblay, as I said, Victor Echo 3, Juliet X-Ray Tango, is currently the RAC Community Services Officer, and emergency communications is a major part of that portfolio. He is a former critical care emergency paramedic and a rescue specialist. He's taught first aid and survival programs for 8 years, and he's done that to both companies and to individuals. He's also now running his own management company. So with that, it's time for me to be quiet and let Jay take over. So Jay, it's yours.
Thank you very much. I am going to pull up. All right, is that showing okay? Should be. All right, so tonight we're going to break this down into, I'm going to give you a little bit of the basics. And for those of you that are planning to use WinLink as a tool for your emergency communications, see if we can get this to function right properly. There we go. So we'll move this over. So the outline for tonight is we're going to look at a plan. The plan is very critical when you're setting up any type of emergency communications, knowing what your mission is. Who's talking, introduction to WinLink, and then a reminder at the end. The best way to learn WinLink is to practice it. So in your plan, you want to know what your mission is, working with people in your community, your served agencies, whoever you report to in that. Know who's talking to who, and knowing the basics. Your plan should have a couple of vital things in there, and a lot of people forget to do this. All right, knowing the frequencies for operations for your local area, but also being able to monitor outside frequencies, especially if you're relying on WinLink as a tool. All right, so a lot of guys will quickly set up 2-meter systems and have them going, but unfortunately they can't get over the hill or they can't get to the next town, and nobody's really listening because they haven't really communicated with that other organization that we're going to be using set frequency on HF so that you can monitor us and practice it back and forth. The other thing that people forget to do, which is very, very important, you have to have a maintenance program to keep your system up to date. That includes, any required updates for your computer system. The WinLink also has updates that happens every couple of weeks. You might want to look at servicing the battery power to your battery operated systems. Some of you may use generators. Ink for your printer, because a printer is something that you may require. So if you don't have permanent stations fixed in your areas and you're running portable, make sure you include a maintenance program. Knowing your mission. So we'll get into this. One of the things that I always want to get across to people is both of these systems work very well as long as they're practiced and people understand what the mission is. So if you're looking locally to your community, you may be using just the VHF system, which is over here, all right, set up on 2 meters. Or you may have to set up something like this, which is your HF system. Either way, you need to make sure that you have this planned out. You've talked to people, you've got frequencies and everything ready to go for your next deployment. And practice will make perfect if you start putting the plan together. So, fixed operations. I got, hang on here. I don't know if these things are coming down on the front there, but fixed operations and portable stations. To me, a portable station is anything that you can carry or that's installed in your car. It's also like my home station. My home station is a portable station. It's not on the WinLink system all the time. It's currently being rebuilt. All right. So if it's something that you carry or something that's in your vehicle, to me, that's a portable station. These stations do require weekly maintenance, whether it be from your car or wherever. Printer inks run out, you may need writing materials, power packs may need to be checked, so on and so forth. There's a lot of work in these portable stations. And I'm sure when you see Mike's presentation, he's shown a couple of really nice stations last week there. These guys, they're working their stations all the time. The fixed stations that people put up, whether they be an RMS or just a home station that's online all the time that people can connect to and connect to the system, they become part of the WinLink network, and they should remain online all the time, 24 hours a day. So if you're thinking about putting something up in a permanent situation, make sure you have good backup power. You've got a good facility for it. If you've got internet, you want to make sure that that internet is a full-time connection. So that's something to think about. Come on. Sure, freeze on me. There we go. Who's talking? Local communications and who's talking is very important. So I don't know if this can be moved, but I hope everybody can see that all right. So we have here local operations right here. This would be your 2 meters going into an RMS. We're using an HF system to get down to another area, which is further away and needs to be communicated with. On the other side here is sort of the standard WinLink operations. Now, at one point in time, we had CMS systems set up across the world. As you can see, that's gone away now. Mike has informed me that there is a backup system, but this is all cloud-based. It's all sitting in the internet. So as you're connecting through and you're using the WinLink side of things on Telnet and that, it is going through the RMSs, and there's a lot of this floating around in the cloud. Don't worry. All right. If the system goes down, there is lots of backups in place that you can use with the WinLink system. So let's start getting you set up for WinLink itself. So once you go to the winlink.org page and you've downloaded the software, the first little page that you're going to see once you've got it on your computer is something that looks similar to this. You're going to need to be able to put in your call sign, a password, all right, a recovery email. Now, this is your own personal email or something that if you need the system to recover for whatever reason, you can set it off to a separate email other than your WinLink email, all right? So it makes it a lot easier there. The other important part is right here, your grid square. WinLink operations requires that you have your grid square. Now, sometimes these grid squares will change if you're deployed to different areas and that. So it's nice to have a radio with APRS or a GPS that can give you a grid square. If you don't have use of the internet, you're going to have to figure those things out on your own. One of the things I did mention in our last session is grid squares, because they're invisible boxes, sometimes we work very close to those lines. If you move, a kilometer or two or a couple of 100 meters and your system is showing that you're in a different grid square, it doesn't matter that much. It only matters if you're like really out of position. So if I'm at home and I'm now called to go to North Bay or someplace further up north, I'm going to have to change my grid square, because obviously the system is going to be looking for me down here in Beaton, just north of Toronto, not all the way up in North Bay. All right, so that's something that you want to have put in there. Once you're all done, you're going to hit the update button, and that's going to go through. All of this stuff over here, like it says, it's optional, guys. There are a few little check boxes that you can put in here, and that's basically just to help you. And I'll go through this because I am going to go on to WinLink directly. So getting into the features of WinLink, the settings will be the first thing that we're going to see, and I'm going to do this live in a minute. This is just to show you that there are a number of different places you can go in. And if for whatever reason you want to change that last page that was just on, you can just go to the WinLink Express setup under settings, and it'll take you back to that page. Composing a message. Once you get some practice at this and it's set up, now right now I'm going to be using Telnet to be doing my session. All right. Composing a message on Telnet with a little bit of practice, you can have it mastered before your first morning coffee. It's no different than using Outlook, Google, or anything else. There is a nice little message box that comes up. You put who you want it to go to, carbon copy, subject. Yes, you can do attachments. Now we'll talk about it, the differences with attachments in a few minutes. The only real difference is instead of just closing this, you post it to your outbox. And I'll show you that live in a minute. But really with some practice, like I said, by the time you're done your morning coffee in the morning, you'll be sending and receiving messages, no problems. One of the things, well, I can't say one of the things, the guys at the WinLink or team, they pretty much thought of everything when it comes to emergency communications and even personal communications. To make your job easy, they have put in a number of different services to help you guys out. Selecting a template, I'm going to show you one in a few minutes. These templates are pre-designated into the WinLink software. And I'm not going to go too much into it, but it is there to help you. It also is there to provide a very professional look to what you're doing when you're dealing with a served agency. So if you're in an EOC or whatever, you may want to use some of these templates. You may want to introduce these guys to some of these templates as well. And when I switch over to WinLink, we'll show you that there. All right, so this is an older one. And before we go any further and Mike kicks my butt, I'm going to switch into WinLink itself. So here we are, guys. This is WinLink. All right, my system has already been set up, but I'm going to take you through. So the WinLink setup, as I said, here it is generated. As you can see, I've got a grid square in there. I've got my call sign. I do have a password, which is really nice because WinLink is set up so that if you have a, yeah.
I think we're not seeing that screen. We're still seeing a general message and the PowerPoint.
Oh, hang on one sec here. New share. All right. Let's see if I got.
Stop sharing that one and do a new share.
That's what I'm doing right now. Is that coming up now?
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect. So I'm going to have to do this a little bit slower, guys, because I'm going to have to share each screen separately. All right, so back to where I was. So now that we're into WinLink itself, as I said, this would be the first screen that you come to. Mine's all filled out. This information over here is all optional, but you know, nobody's going to bite you. Grid square, absolutely. Please set your service code to public. Very important. Do not put down emergency communications. We'll cover that a little bit later on. Mike was talking about it last time, so I'll let him talk about it again. I always select allow diagnostic information to be sent to the WinLink development team because they like to know when things are going wrong. And that's it. So I don't have to update mine, but you can. As soon as you hit update, if you change anything, you can update it. We'll close that off for right now. Back into settings. So WinLink is a tool, all right? One of the things that we use it for is sending messages. However, it can also provide you with some tactical data if you are stuck someplace in a tent in the middle of no place. And one of the things that I use is this screen, if it opens. Hopefully everybody can see that. So this is requesting a GRIB file. And this is where we had the problem before, but I'm going to do this. Share new. And we'll pull this up. So I'm hoping everybody can see that. A GRIB file, I pulled this up prior to our last meeting. This is what a grid file looks like. This is actually just the winds and that around my area about 2 nights before our last presentation. And it gives you your wind speed, it gives you direction, barometric pressure, lat and long. And as you can see, this was for Tuesday, May the 5th. So like I said, if you are out, say, Puerto Rico, when they lost everything, if you have connectability to do this, and mariners do this all the time, so believe me, WinLink does have that connectability. If you need to know what's going on in your area, this can give you a pretty good idea ahead of time without having to worry about calling somebody or not being able to call somebody. So you've got this information. It's built into WinLink. You can use this to help yourself. So minimize that. New share. I am going to go back to Express. All right, so WinLink should be showing again. Hopefully this changed over all right.
Yeah, it's fine. If it doesn't, I'll let you know.
Perfect. This is the WinLink catalog. I didn't show this last time because I know some of you have already used WinLink and all that. If you're having problems with your system and you want to find out information about WinLink itself, you can go, first of all, to winlink.org, and they have the book of knowledge there. But the system itself allows you to get information on a number of different topics. This is the topic list over here, guys. It would take me forever to go through all of this. But by selecting a topic, it will appear in here, and you can actually download it via radio or internet to your system so that you can read it. All right. I'm not going to go through that tonight. I don't have enough time, but if you're playing with it, feel free to play with it. You can adjust your preferences on how you want to send and receive messages, acknowledgements. Now, in an emergency type situation, you may want to use acknowledgements. So if you send a message to somebody and they receive it, WinLink will automatically send you back a note saying they have received your message. So if it is a critical message or a welfare message, routine even, you may want to track that. So this is a good place now to be able to select these and use this simply by updating, all right? If you're in a really busy situation, you can also choose to ignore those acknowledgements. And that would probably happen if you're receiving, 15 to 20 emails at a time, and you've got 10 of them that are acknowledgements. But it's nice to have to keep track of who's receiving everything that you've sent out. Sorry. All right. We will go to contacts. So just like your Outlook and Google and everything else, you can add and you can remove your contacts. Now, the nice thing is you can also set it up so that every time that you type a message to somebody, it will automatically go into your contact list. All right. And that comes in handy, especially if you're doing a lot of typing, and you'll see mine's blank because I actually reloaded all of this just for these workshops. So right now I have my personal contact, and I have another contact from a gentleman that just sent me a message prior to this. Adding a contact, name, email address, any note that you want to put in, hit save. Very simple, very quick, no different than your address book on Outlook or any of the other ones. Group addresses, yes, you can set it up so that you can set up one address, send out for, say, your areas team or a hospital team or whatever. You can set that all up, make it real quickly for yourself. You can add personal folders. Last week I added training. Tonight I will add personal. When I hit update, you will see now in the personal folders, it's been generated over here. So there's a lot of other features on here that you'll go through. Hybrid parameters, it'll probably pop up because I have an update in mind. We'll talk about this a little bit later on, but this allows you to use radios to pick up your messages, and you can select 1, 2, or 3. All of this stuff is updatable via radio or also by the internet. Like I said before, there is a maintenance sort of package that you have to put into your plan when using this and keep this stuff up to date all the time. All right, so please remember that when you're making a plan to do that, plan the maintenance side of it. The last thing you want to do is go out in the field and not be able to send and receive messages. Now, for the most part, you should be able to, but sending and receiving can sometimes be a problem if you're a couple versions behind. Sending a message. So I just open up message at the top. There is a bar here. This is your new message across here. And this is your request for different things. We got a save file, a print file. But with the new message, again, I can type a new message and I will do VE3 JXT subject test. WinLink training. So I got my message all set up, ready to go. I'm going to post it to my outbox. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to open a session. Session's going to open. It looks like this. I'm using Telnet, so I'm using nothing but internet right now, guys. And I'll hit start the session. So it's going to connect. It's going to send through. It's going to show me that it sent a message. And it's going to give me that I've received messages. So as it goes through, here's my connection to the CMS. All right. When I get down to here, it stops saying that the connection is connected. It's now telling me who sent me. So I've got VA3QT has sent me a message. And that was just a single message, goes all the way through right down to the end where it then says it's disconnected. It's quick, it's simple, and it works somewhat the same on radio, but you'll see there'll be a little bit difference. So we have, oh, I'll open those ones later. But messages come in, I can see all the information and that quite quickly. Now, I'm going to see if I'm going to start another session here. As you can see, there was no messages sent and nothing received. Now that can be set up automatically. So you can set it up every 10 minutes, every half hour, whatever you want to do. And that is to your personal preference. In an emergency situation, you may not want to do that. You may want to be in more care and control. Wrong button. So with these messages, when I set up the new message, I was talking to you about templates. So I could select a template, and I'm just going to open this up here. As you can see, there's tons of templates here, and I'm just going to go to a general form. These are already put into the system as an HTML form, so it actually sits in my system. When I generate that message, and I will pull this up. Share new. All right. So you should see the IMS form 213R. This is what that form is going to look like. It looks very, very professional when you're using this in an emergency operations. It also makes your job very much easy to do because with this, it's already filled out the information that you need to put in there. You just go in and fill in these nice little boxes here to make it quick and simple. Now, one of the other things you can do is if you have somebody that's really good that's typing that helps you, they can do this real quick for you, and you just play radio and send it back and forth for them as the postman. So it's very nice. When it's received on the other end, it's going to come in just as data until it opens up. And then it's going to look exactly like this and can be printed exactly like this if you have to hand it to somebody. So it's another great feature that WinLink has for everybody to use. All right, and I want to go back to. So once I select the general message, that's what I'm going to fill out. It's going to populate all of this. I'll post it to my outbox and I'll send it off. And that there, guys, is pretty much sending and receiving messages. It just takes a little bit of practice. Now, again, tonight I was telling you I was working with Telnet. So Telnet on WinLink. This is the intranet. I'm using the full WinLink system over the internet. The way I look at it, and everybody can go based on what they're familiar with. But WinLink, when you're talking WinLink, you're going through the RMS servers. So you're using the full WinLink system. That's what these settings are for. Even though you're using your radios, it's going through a WinLink system. P2P is person to person. When you start doing this, this is me sending a message to one individual and one individual only. All right. So if you're in a situation where you can only contact somebody and you know that you got a good contact, you may want to try this. It's good to practice with it anyways. Now we have radio only settings. As I said, when the system fails and you've got a way to forward to those other stations, those 3 stations that you have set up to send and receive messages from, this is all part of the radio only. One of the features that I like is Telnet Post Office. So if you're in a local setting, an EOC, a shelter or whatever, and maybe you're experimenting with a little bit of land-based systems, ARTA, or some sort of micro network, you can set up one station to be the send and receive, and all the other stations can be just a laptop. They'll send it through your local area network to your one station. Once it gets to this station here that's online, you can forward those messages. And when you forward those messages, you can put them out either over WinLink itself, person to person, radio only. It gives you that option to do that. So you don't have to be the only guy typing in your station. Especially in a disaster, you may want to have a fire chief or somebody that doesn't want all the information to be seen. They can type it, they can send it to you. When you go to forward that, you're going to come up here to this little button here, and it's going to let you forward without change. And what that means is you're going to send his message and nobody's able to change it. So the message that you got is the message that goes out, and that's the message that he's going to receive. So running out of time here, guys. Back over here. And share new. Back to the presentation. Share. All righty. So when we're sending messages via the radio, one of the things I can't show you right now because I'm not hooked up to it. This is what it's going to look like here, guys. You're going to see this little bar going across the top. In one direction, it's going to be sending it out. In the opposite direction, it's going to be showing you the data that's coming in. So it's going to look virtually the same, and Mike's going to probably cover that a little bit more in his presentation. But that, my friends, is a basic introduction to WinLink. All right. Review your plan regularly, make changes based on the practice sessions that you do, especially if you're working with other groups. And if you make those changes, let your teams know around your area. No two events are going to be the same. So make sure you ask questions and know your frequencies and any other plans that people may have. Look at other teams and the situation in your area. Review your communication plans, your frequencies. Make sure you look at propagation reports if you're using the HF systems, and check your WinLink station so that you know that they can hear you and everything is working properly. And that's it, guys. That's what I have for you tonight. Mike's going to come up next and he's going to fill in a few more things for you.
Great. Thank you very much, Jay. And as I said earlier, for those of you who've joined later, we will be taking questions after Mike's presentation as well. So if you have a question, please write it down. If you're on YouTube, not a problem. Use YouTube chat, and Augusto will be fielding those, and we'll get those into the question and answer session afterwards. So thanks very much, Jay. And now we're going to move on to Mike Burton, X-Ray Echo 2 / November 6 Kilo Zulu Bravo. Introducing Mike, he retired after 25 years in the fire services. He specialized in communications and disaster management, ran their 911 emergency center as the chief, and also managed IT. What's most important, though, is he's one of the key members of the WinLink development team, which means if there's anybody that understands how all this works inside and out and all the places in between, it's Mike. So with that, oh, and Mike moved south of the border there to enjoy the better brands of tequila. So with that, Mike, I'll turn it over to you.
Appreciate it. Jay, you need to unshare your screen, please. There you go. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. This is the last shot you're going to get of me. I like to be incognito. I'm going to give you an overview of WinLink and emergencies, how the network system works, and hopefully stir your interest up to answer a few questions later. Hopefully my screen share is working. Is that correct? Somebody confirm my screen share
Yes,
is working.
working fine.
Outstanding. All right, learning to WinLink system. This presentation, this part of the presentation was put together by slides I removed from KB1TCE and some of the WinLink slides and a few of our own. Copying is the best form of flattery. What is WinLink? It's just a worldwide radio email service that uses radio pathways when the internet is not present. It is also capable of operating completely without the internet, automatically using smart network radio relays. WinLink had its origins with sailing community with email, position reporting, and weather information. It now has a substantially broader role supporting emergency and disaster relief communications. In fact, as of yesterday, 70% of the traffic is now related to EmCom, testing or actual events. WinLink also supports non-governmental communications One notable example being the shares program administered by DHS. The system is built, operated, and administered entirely by licensed volunteers, and it is a nonprofit organization. It's been around for 15 years. To understand WinLink, you need to know a few terms and definitions. Jay referred to RMS. I like to call RMS the gateway, but it's actually a radio mail server. That's what you connect with by your radio, be it HF, packet, or Vera FM. CMS is a common message server. This is the WinLink server that is actually situated in the Amazon cloud in the web services. It's load bearing and it has 2 built-in redundant backups and is fully functional. Radio only operation. This consists of RMS stations that can auto forward by RF independent of internet availability. Despite what some of the soothsayers say, you do not need internet to operate WinLink. Remember, WinLink's original purpose in life is to allow you to send and receive email out of an affected area. So you go out of the area that has no internet, you're going to connect to a gateway that has internet. Message idea. It's a unique alphanumeric code that's assigned to every message you generate. This helps prevent duplications and keeps everything straight. Why does it work? Automatic repeat and request, ARQ, an interactive error correction mode used for all WinLink RF message transfer. This ensures perfect accuracy. Whether you send a photo or a spreadsheet or an executable program, it is a perfect accuracy. Open B2F compression. The body of each WinLink message is compressed, not obscured, compressed to reduce the amount of data that has to be transferred. Why? Most of the circuits are slow radio circuits with the exception of Pactor or a registered version of Vera HF. So you want to keep the size down small. WinLink Express, this is the primary client software as developed by the WinLink team. Other clients are available from third parties. The WinLink system and its linkages. To the left, you see the client radio station. This is you at home. You're using your radio. It could be Telnet, but you're using your radio, let's say VHF, FM, Vera FM, it's gonna be Vera FM to connect to a local gateway on a hill near you. You put your message in there. The moment you disconnect, it's gonna be entered into the common message server. Your friend across town or across state or anywhere in the world does the reverse. He connects to the local gateway because these gateways are all commonly connected to the Amazon cloud. He could receive his traffic in return. Email user. Your mother-in-law knows your WinLink address, and much to your chagrin, she wants to send you an email. She can do so also through her normal email address. Outbound message. Upon composing and saving a new message in your client software, the message is signed that unique ID, the MID that we talked about. You will select and then connect to an RMS gateway by radio. It could be HF, VHF, it does not matter. If for some reason the CMS cannot be reached due to an internet outage, a breakage here, the connection will be refused, or depending upon the RMS configuration that the system operator has, a pop-up message will indicate that the message will be delivered when the internet connection is restored. You have then the option to leave the traffic and wait for that that gateway to get its internet back, or try another RMS. After initial handshaking, the message is transferred to the CMS via the RMS. Inbound. Somebody enters traffic into the RMS, and it's because it's connected. I'm sorry, this is for why I got our inbound and outbound backwards, I don't know. The client session connects to any available RMS gateway. The CMS is searched for messages that are destined for the client station address anywhere in the world because it's in the cloud. Matching messages are transferred to the RMS and then to the client station. The message is saved in the CMS for 21 days, but has been tagged as retrieved. Subsequent connects will not result in a duplicate transfer of a message. Any WinLink administrator can go view any message up to 21 days that you have sent. Here's how to use WinLink to its full capacity. You might be camping up here in northern Maine, your portable station, you have no internet, no infrastructure, but you have an HF radio. You generate your traffic, you connect to the gateway WD10. He's connected to the CMS by internet. Your traffic is going to be retrieved and you can send traffic that can be picked up by anybody connected to the internet by way of a gateway. This is an affected area. No infrastructure, no internet. An EmCom person can send traffic by HF to KQ4ET as an example. Because he still has internet, your message is going to get transferred all through the chain to KM6MO over here, who has questions for you. Again, the affected area has no infrastructure. That's the primary purpose of WinLink. Hardware configurations, I think Jay hit upon this. Internet, if the internet is available locally, use it by Telnet. Packet can be used a dedicated hardware TNC or software TNC with sound card modem. Sound card modes on HF are WinMore, RDOF, and Vera. WinMore is slowly being phased out. In fact, today, all the gateways in Mexico, all the gateways in Central America, and many of them in the US are dropping WinMore. Pactor, it's proprietary, but it has the highest HF performance. It's required for governmental shares operation. Vera FM is gaining popularity due to its speed. There are approximately 2,500 active RMS stations worldwide. That's 2,500 gateways that you can connect to by radio. There are 25,000 active users in the last 90 days. There are 50,000 messages transferred every 30 days. This was gathered in a 24-hour period in October 2019. These are all the gateway paths, all the connectivity that you can go see in live real time, and I'll show you how you do that on the internet. Simple guideline for sending messages. Each radio mail server gateway can only handle one HF connection at a time. If it's outbound or inbound, it can only do one HF connection at a time. If you don't hear activity on a given RMS, it may be busy on another frequency, or you have no connectivity to it because of bad band conditions. Packet gateways can generally handle more than one simultaneous connect. Usually 3 or 4 is what we keep it down to maintain proper speed and less of the collisions. Establishing and closing each connect session takes time. So if possible, batch your messages rather than sending one at a time. If there are multiple stations in an affected area that need to use the system, each station should try to use a different RMS. Keep the message as brief as possible. The WinLink website, I highly urge you to go take a look at it if you're not already familiar with it. Go to the WinLink website. You'll have tools that you can bring up the maps, all types of information I'll show you here in a little bit. Latest news, position reporting, user programs, the book of knowledge, perfect for you finding information, troubleshooting, and the support link is very good because you can go actually get onto Google Groups that will answer your questions by WinLink moderators. What if the internet down? This part is called MPS traffic. This is not HF auto forwarding when a gateway goes down, which I'll show you here in a moment. This is if the internet was to crash entirely. WinLink offers as a contingency radio-only operating mode that transfers messages without the internet. Not for use under normal circumstances, but it's there if the need arises. Conventional WinLink works fine if you are in a no internet zone, but you can make an HF connection to an RMS with internet. The radio-only mode is exactly that. There is no internet involved between the two stations. In WinLink Express, you register the 2 stations you want to use as your mail pickup station. Within 24 hours, you're registered in the network forever, and someone can generate a radio-only message. It's in a pull-down menu in WinLink Express, and it is sent from one gateway until it reaches the other gateway, all by HF Pactor, or now Vera registered version. There is no internet involved. I'm sure that's going to stir a lot of questions up. Please, I urge you to join these two groups. If you have a problem or need something answered, go to this forum. If you're interested in EmCom, go to this forum, and these links are available on the website. Close this one. Why do we care about WinLink? I'm going to show you why. WinLink was used in the Mexico earthquake and Puerto Rican disasters, and these are two of the bigger ones. These are observations behind the scenes and assistance provided to the amateur radio EmCom responders for reliable network access. Myself and N5TW were assigned behind the scenes to monitor all traffic and to assist, which we did. A lot of people were new to Express that were on in Mexico or in Puerto Rico, and we were able to send them short radio messages to help them out. The Mexico earthquake of September 19, 2017 occurred 65 kilometers outside, killed hundreds, infrastructure down, and it was exactly 32 years to the day of the previous Mexico City 8.1 earthquake. FMRE, which is Mexico's version of the ARRL, activated its amateur radio RedNet to include WinLink resources. Well, I hope he has adequate insurance. These are two photos that were taken as XC2SI and XC2EFR. This is from the earthquake in 1985. They were loaned radio equipment by HRO in San Diego by Rafferty. They were transported by airplane, commercial flight. These two people and 5 other team members, dipole, a directional antenna, Kenwood 9300, and everything you see there. Their purpose was health and welfare from an affected area in Mexico City. They used HF radio to communicate with the Caribbean, the Baja Radio Club, which had telephone connectivity, obviously, to San Diego and elsewhere. They would take and write down short health and welfare messages and receive short health and welfare messages. They actually had one telephone line still working to some parts, and they had a whole bunch of runners on motorcycles, etc. And this is how they handled traffic. Several hundred messages in a week and a half period. Very cumbersome, a lot of repeats, and a lot of issues. Now we move to today. This earthquake that occurred in Mexico City, the 7.1, because FMRE responded with its resources, this mobile communications van came out of Guanajuato. It's the club van assigned to do these things. In there, they had a Pactor modem, Kenwood radio, and they were providing support for the collapsed school. They had no internet, and when it would come up, it would just be overcrowded and overloaded. So they were handling traffic. Now, I want you to think about this. If they would have had WinLink in the previous Mexico earthquake, they would have had accurate message delivery, rapid message delivery, could have booked messages, could have booked things using the templates. They would have had a hard-coded record of everything they did, and it would have been fast and efficient. There were only 31 messages sent via WinLink from that small area. No, most of them on Pactor and 40 and 20 meters. Average message size was 5K. They used XE1VP in Mexico City. It still had power, but it had no internet. So it would HF auto forward the traffic to N5TW gateway in Texas because he still had internet. And Tom has a giant antenna array, and he immediately pointed it towards Mexico City. Puerto Rico. I'm not going to go into too much detail. We all know about the Puerto Rico disaster, Hurricane Maria. This is what it looked. When I say no infrastructure, I mean no infrastructure. Red Cross needed amateur radio volunteers that were WinLink capable. ARRL assisted in gathering 22 to respond with Go kits. These kits were mostly ICOM 7200, 40 meter dipoles, and an external tuner. Red Cross provided the laptops of WinLink Express. Note, not all the laptops have been updated with the latest WinLink Express or the latest templates. If you're going to keep things in reserve to be responding, You need to keep these things updated. Teams were housed to begin with at fire stations, hospitals, and government facilities. This is what I'm talking about, accurate message delivery. This is an actual ICS 213 that was sent from Puerto Rico to the Red Cross. I don't know how well you can see that. Maybe I get a little bigger. No. Anyhow, this is the accurate delivery I'm talking about. Not voice, not CW, digital, and in less than a minute and a half. A 213RR resource request, accurate delivery. Printed at both ends, record keeping, no doubt what went on. One of the WinLink systems in Guayama was brought in, portable operator, battery, solar panels. The conclusion of Puerto Rican disaster, WinLink provided an out-of-area email delivery system. A trained and equipped HF operator can be essential the first few days. When more RDOT protocols have limitations on distance and band conditions that make PACTOR 3 and 4 invaluable, and now the latest VERA if it's registered. Use of HTML template, express, reduce operator time, and keep consistency in message content. Hundreds of messages were sent in 3 weeks via HF, average message size 5K. Tom and I have a record of every message sent. Mexico fires. WinLink was used in the Monterey series of fires. The amateurs were flown in by helicopter, 2 different locations because they had to move twice. This is the portable Go kit that they brought with them. It didn't have a PACTOR modem, but it did have a sound card. And at the airport, while they were waiting, XC20, the president of EMRE, who responded with this kit, provided internet to the laptop by his cell phone, and I was able to go in and set them up with VERA HF, a registration code, so they had high-speed VERA, which had just recently been released. This is the antenna system that they used. VHF for local communications, and that, if I'm not mistaken, is a buddy pole they use as a 20 and 40 meter dipole. Here's a front view of the Go kit. It's a little busy for my taste, but it did work. That was the team that responded, one of the shifts. Living in the dirt. Man, I remember those days. Gateways. Why do we care about gateways? Let me show you what some real gateways look like. If you're going to provide a gateway, you need to be 24/7 to the best of your budget and the best of your ability. Playing as a gateway at home is a lot of fun, but if you can't be on the line when there's a hurricane, power outages, you're really no value. Think about it. When will a gateway be needed most? During a major disaster. What happens in major disaster? Infrastructure is affected. So if you're sitting there with a gateway on a shelf in your garage and it says no power and you haven't provided backup power, then I can't help you. This is the 911 Emergency Services Dispatch Center in Costa Rica. And it was better than the one that I managed. Woo! There is an RMS gateway. This was provided by ITU Region 2 funding for all the Central American countries and soon the Caribbean islands. That's about $2,700 worth of equipment. There's a large UPS under the table, even though they have 2 giant generators. Why? Generators do not come up to speed instantly, and it might take a few seconds, and you cannot afford to have a power glitch and stop the software or cause problems. This is a true 24/7 gateway. Been there a year and a half, been incredible. There are the 2 generators I talk about. These people were serious. What? My girlfriend been playing. This is the gateway that was put together, funds provided by FMRE, XE2SI, XE2BGF, and myself flew to La Paz, Mexico to install it. We had carried everything as carry-on luggage between the 3 of us. Quite a feat. There's about $2,700 to $3,100 there. Why? Because FMRE had a few of the parts themselves. Solar power. This was for the La Paz gateway. We provided them solar installed. This is XE2BGF installing a 110 ampere hour AGM battery. The second battery is also to be being installed. This is just a photo of him doing the one. This is a true 24/7 gateway. This is what the gateway looks like on the desk. That's a complete gateway. Smart AC charger, solar controller. As long as there's a lot of sun, this doesn't do anything. This only kicks in to help the battery if the current consumption exceeds what the sun is providing. This is a low voltage cutoff. Why? To prevent the batteries from going bust when you lose power. This is the gateway that we designed and engineered. It's in Tijuana, Baja, Mexico. These are two of my minions, replacing all the batteries. About $700 worth of batteries. This gateway is probably a premier of all the gateways, mostly because you see all these power over internet devices. This gateway is 5 gigahertz LAN connected to many other hilltops that have packet and Vera FM on top of them. Why? Because they are LAN connected to this computer. What happens if internet is lost locally? This computer goes into HF auto forward mode. So everybody that can connect to these gateways, and most of them can be reached by the US side of the border, they don't need to worry about an internet outage in San Diego or environs. We're going to take care of it for them. They connect. When they disconnect, this system will send it out on Pactor 4 and deliver the traffic. It will also bring in inbound traffic upon our next connection. Here's a better shot of it. There's an ICOM 7200, one of the last ones we're still using. We recommend and now only use ICOM 7300s, the incredible radio for a gateway or even a client use. This is a portable kit. This is belonged by Crevasse Radio Cub that we put together for them. It acts as a backup gateway if needed. It can be used on events as a gateway in an area that has no internet, and then we do use it on races down here. It's taken to a hilltop, deployed out of the back of a vehicle. A VHF antenna is put up, an HF dipole is put up, a Chameleon EmCom 2, my favorite. The local race checkpoints use packet. They connect to the gateway. They send their traffic. It also acts as a mailbox, so they can do traffic just between themselves. Again, that's about $2,000 there. No, about $2,500. It has everything: the HF radio, Vera FM and packet system, portable, the Chameleon antenna, counterpoise. There's a separate battery box that goes with it, but you can run it off the vehicle power if need be. I want to whet your appetite. A new Vera HF is going to be released soon. We've been beta testing it with the developer, Jose. For the first time, Vera will be offered in increased speeds, increased efficiency and connectivity, and at 500 hertz mode. Why? Because in the US and certain countries, there are band restrictions. You cannot do 2300 on this particular 40-meter channel. That will go away now. You'll be able to do Vera on those same frequencies that you're now doing Winmore and RDOP at 500. You'll be able to do Vera HF at 500. And our initial testing has shown that Vera HF 500, when it's registered, you can see the speeds you get down here on HF. That's pretty good. And if it's not registered, you get incredible connectivity and still good speeds that rival Winmore and RDOP. Remember, Winmore is going away. I believe that's about all I have to offer to you. I urge you to learn WinLink. Do not be confused by Express and all its features. If all you do as a user is have WinLink, a radio, generate a text message, and send that text message, you're way ahead of the game. All of the ancillary features, templates, and all that just enhances what your abilities are. And I believe that's enough from me.
Thanks very much, Mike. That was great. I'm sure that between you and Jay, there are many, many questions. So, Augusto, would you please take it away? And okay, I need him to unmute everybody's mic or give you the ability. to
Give me just a second.
The rules of engagement here are very simple. If you're on YouTube, use the chat to ask your question. If you're on Zoom, we're going to let you have control. We're going to let you have control. Somebody needs to kill their audio.
Everybody can unmute themselves now.
Yes, yes. But please keep your mics muted unless you're actually asking the question, or we're going to have a lot of background noise, which is not going to be very helpful. Go ahead, first question.
Well, I noticed that while we were talking there, that the Zoom chat group has been talking quite a bit, and there's a lot of questions that have been asked. So I have to thank K6 OLI for answering a lot of these questions as they were coming up. I see a lot of them had to do with the operation of Vera, RDOP, and the Pactor. And so, yep, for those that aren't reading it, each of those methods that are being used there. So Pactor talks to Pactor, RDOP talks to RDOP, Vara talks to Vara. All right. So you can't go Vara to Pactor. That is something that you have to take into consideration when you're making that plan that I was talking to you guys about. You have to know who's talking to who and how you're talking. That's very, very important. And a lot of people forget to do that. Now, if you're sitting with just FM stuff, I mean, I use a Kenwood 710 as my TNC, and I have a Toughbook laptop. So most of the guys in my area I can talk to. But if you're going to go into specific software, you have to remember that you have to have a receiver of that software as well. This group is very quiet.
Let me share something so people understand the protocols a little bit and why they're there.
Absolutely.
Folks, I'm going to take you to an actual gateway in operation. I'll use Dominican Republic. It has a lot of traffic normally. I just up a lot of gateways for Mexico and I do. This is gateway software. This you don't see as a client. This is a system operator. This is what you're going to connect to with WinLink Express. Each gateway will scan all the protocols except Winmore now, at least this gateway. If you're using Vera 2300, you'll select it in WinLink Express, you'll connect to the gateway in Vera 2300 and send your traffic. If you don't have Vera and didn't decide to buy the code, registration code for $69 for life, you probably want to use RDOP. If you're a true EmCom aficionado and you can budget it, I recommend a Pactor modem. So this gateway will scan all these channels. And those are the modes, and that's how it's accomplished at the gateway side. You, the user, using your client software, no different. You simply go down and select your protocol. If you have packet radio, if you have Pactor, very few use robust packet. It's almost a waste. Winmore is going to be going away. RDOP, Vera HF, Vera FM. On Vera FM is probably the fastest protocol you're going to get on VHF, bar none. Pactor is going to be the fastest protocol you're going to get on HF. But Vera HF is close, very close. So I will bring up Vera HF. I've already done my message and I do my connection after I post it. I just want to show you, you have all that ability. How do you know what gateway to get to? Most of you already know this. I'll select Vera, I'll select Pactor. I'm out in the middle of nowhere and I don't want to take any chances, or I'm a sailing vessel out in the deep blue sea. I open this up. If you have your grid square in settings, it will give you a propagation matrix And I'll select the path route. To my grid square, these are the gateways I should be able to reach. This is a guide only. It is not written in concrete. You need to be HF savvy. You need to know how to operate in the band conditions. You need to have a decent antenna. But for example, I'll be able to connect to this gateway. You won't hear the sound because I'm not going to go to that trouble. But I'll be trying to connect to XC2, B, and C. Remember, it's scanning 5 channels, so I have to wait for it to come around. And if it's busy, I'll just go somewhere else or come back in a couple of minutes. And if there's no internet up at that site, I'll get a pop-up message telling me so. Telling me that, would you like to let your traffic go by HF or you want to go somewhere else? I just got a backdoor connected to XC2, B, and C gateway. We won't stay long on this. I'm at backdoor speed maximum 3200 for this particular connection. Oh, Winmore no longer in use. Too bad. I'm connecting. I'm sending my call sign and any tactical call I have. And these are all password protected. And no, even though this is in the clear, that means nothing. That's a algorithmic code of numbers that the server CMS knows and how to respond to. You cannot duplicate it. Go ahead, people.
This is Brian Davies, V6CKC in Alberta, Canada, and I have a couple of questions.
Go right ahead, sir.
Okay, question 1 is on part 7 of the message form where you type in the actual message. It didn't look like a very big box. And my question is there a word count restriction or what's the sort of restriction on the size of the message?
Let me answer that question first. This is going to ooh you and awe you. All the WinLink templates have expandable back boxes. You don't need to worry about it. Okay. I'm going to go up here. I have my hot buttons. I'm going to be bringing up the ICS 213 for the USA. No matter how much I type in there.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. That answers that.
But since you already stirred it up, you can also cut and paste information that is in text format from somewhere else. So what a lot happens on a lot of incidents, you're just a message operator. They'll bring you a USB stick with the information of who it needs to go to, the address, and it's already ready to go. You just cut and paste it into the message. So that's one of the cute features. Here's the best part of this whole process. I'll use a dummy form filter. I've entered some information. If you want to keep using any WinLink Express form, any of the 90 templates, you can fill all this in. Before you submit and send it, you can save that information. You haven't got everything you need now, so you go ahead and shut it down, but you've saved the information. Somebody comes back 10 minutes later, oh, I got the rest of needs to go in. All you do now is load it, continue on with what you got, and then you can submit it. What this is good for is if you have all this information that's constant and you're doing a lot of messages, you don't have to keep typing them in. This is also extremely important on forms that have running logs like the ICS 214 or any of those type of things. Does that answer it, sir?
Yes, very well, thank you. And my second question is WinLink purely on Windows machines, or are there other platforms that can handle the information?
Yes, let me show you again. Remember, WinLink is basically a Windows program, but others have taken the time to create variants, and you can also use Windows emulator on a Mac, and it'll work very well. You can go over here to support link on the website, and you'll find all kinds of other groups from BPQ32. Linux is down here somewhere, but you can go in there and find other people who've written software clients.
Okay.
All right.
Yep. That just makes it more versatile.
But remember, it's a WinLink product developed for Windows and written in Windows. It's not going to change.
Okay,
Okay. It's Robert, VA3BXG. You mentioned this a number of times, that Winmore is going away. Given the fact that a lot of infrastructure is Winmore still, at least in our area, I believe. I know we're using Winmore. Can you tell me why? And yeah, why? And given the fact if Winmore is gone, and as in most budgets, we don't have any, what would be the alternative? Is there any cross-link capabilities between, let's say, Winmore and our drop?
No, there's no cross links. Mike's going to show you this here. You'll probably have to go to Vara if you're going to, when they take away Winmore. Watch here.
Look, you have Winmore now. Step down, click on RDOP, configure it. It's free. It's no harder to configure Winmore. You're back up and running. There is no money spent. There is no money spent. If you want high-speed sound card connectivity, then you'll have to go to Vera and pay the $69 to the author to get the registration code. But Winmore going away will affect nothing. A proper notice will be sent out and people can just switch to RDOP. That's what's happened already in a lot of gateways. There was a lot of hue and cry over this, and they realized, what's this other selection? We never saw that before. Duh, just configure it. Now, why is Winmore going away? Winmore's been around a long time, a very long time. I was one of the early beta testers when it was originally called SCAMP. And it is so long in the tooth, it's just not effective anymore. So RDOP is going to replace it to give people still a free sound card protocol when Winmore goes away. And you can also use Vera HF. You can use Vera HF unregistered and it will equal Winmore. Does that answer it?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
Any other questions from Zoom? If not, then maybe we can look at any more from YouTube.
I would like just to make a brief comment on the first answer. I'm Hilton from São Paulo, Brazil, and I'm coordinating the São Paulo State Emergency Network, ham radio network, and we are planning to include WinLink in our protocols, and this was outstanding. I would like to thank you for such a great expositions from both Jason and Mike, and thanks for the answering on the protocols, because I'm also a sailor. Yeah, I have some friends doing blue water crossings, and they all encourage us to buy the Pactor 4 modem. That is really very expensive. I think it's about $2,000. I'm not sure. And it gives the best performance, of course. But think about the emergency network that we are planning, and we will have to rely on other amateur radio operators in the area. So I think we are going on probably Vara, HF, and FM would be the best answer.
Yes,
thanks very much.
Would be the best answer. Here's the deal. Pactor modem is only about $1,100 if you buy the 7400 version model. There are still a lot of used Pactor 3 modems out there. Pactor 4 Dragon is backwards compatible. I can go on eBay and usually find an older Pactor 3 modem for $500–600. Why? The people are buying the newer Dragons and they're selling their older modems. But here's the thing. If you're out in the middle of the deep blue water, I want to rely on a very good engineered piece of hardware that requires no operator intervention, no extra mouse clicks, plug and play, reliability for years and years and years. I want that Pactor protocol, Pactor 4. As I showed you in the Dominican Republic gateway, I have so many sailors out there. This particular site gets a tremendous number of connects. You'll notice that this sailor right here, FY4PU, he has no Pactor modem, and he was all concerned because he'd been out in the Caribbean for quite a while using Winmore. He sent me a message and I said, use Vera. He was so impressed that he immediately sent off for the registration. You can see he's using Vera. Is Vera effective 2,000 miles out as Pactor 4? That depends if Mother Nature wants to cooperate. Remember, it takes two sides to tango. You have to have a good connection at both ends. But Pactor has proven record of being the most reliable, and message size is important.
That's why.
Any other questions?
Jay, do we have anything else from YouTube? You said you were looking at it.
I've just got the Zoom up. Augusto, do we have anything on YouTube?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I have a question regarding Pactor and Vera. When I installed my WinLink here at home, when I did the test with Vera and without it, the difference was so big that I immediately went and registered it because it was way faster than using the other protocols. Now, regarding the Pactor modem, even though you may not need it for home, am I right in assuming that it is the preferred choice when you're going to have a gateway? You can have your gateway with both Vera and a Pactor modem, which will be used to connect to other nodes.
Well, I think like last week, Mike and I both agreed that the hardware is the way to go. If you're going to be setting up a permanent station, spend the money, do it right the first time, and have that reliability. And I think Mike would agree with me.
Yeah, let me show you real quick, Augusto. Yes, a gateway does not have to have a Pactor modem, but you're doing yourself a disservice because you want the best and the fastest speed when you go into HF auto forward mode. But as I will show you using Vera. So I recommend if someone's going to do a gateway, you can start with Vera HF register. In fact, you don't get the vote. If you're running a gateway, if you don't have Vera HF registered, it will ignore it. And as you can see here, I can allow forwarding on via Pactor and via Vera. How does it know which one to do? It will always try a Pactor gateway first to forward the traffic. If the first hop is Pactor, if the second hop is not Pactor capable, it will then try Vera. How does it know to do all that? From the propagation matrix it builds a propagation matrix much like the client software. I recommend you start with Vera unless you got the money now. Add Pactor. It's really important to have that protocol to make sure you have the proper connectivity and you're moving traffic.
Okay, there's a question from from YouTube. What they are asking is, how can WinLink work without the internet at all? And also, is it necessary to have a near vertical incidence skywave antenna, NVIS antenna?
Well, it depends on what you want to do as far as antenna. You've got to be HF savvy. If you're just trying to talk somebody 200, 300 miles away, I imagine NVIS would be important. But frankly, worry about multi-band antenna that's going to give you coverage from a few hundred kilometers to 2,000 kilometers. That's why I recommend the Chameleon EmCom 2. Let me show you what happens if there's, okay, I probably missed this part. This is two gateways operating fine.
We're not seeing your screen.
Now I'm starting. Okay, so I got bit. But where's that button at? Oh, share screen, share. That's embarrassing. I don't like doing that. Very embarrassing. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay. Normal operation, these two gateways are using the internet. This one's in Texas and this one's in Puerto Rico. So these people are all passing traffic fine. Internet goes out either side, Puerto Rico or the area in Texas. These gateways, if they're properly configured, will still take traffic. They go to automatic HF auto forward. There's no internet involved between the two of them. They're going outside of the area. Now, If you're talking about MPS traffic, that's a whole different ballgame. And the only way I can really explain it is to have you go to the website and read the document on it. What it does is if the internet is down worldwide, which I really doubt is ever going to happen, called the hybrid network. A gateway, you register with a gateway through your client software, and you end up with your traffic being sent radio call only, no internet. This is radio call to radio call or radio call to technical call. It will be sent to the gateways that you have designated and set there until you pick it up. We only recommend you designate 2 gateways to pick up traffic. They need to be gateways that you can reasonably get to on packet, if he's supporting hybrid connectivity, or HF. They can be in the same area because if you lose internet, it doesn't matter. They're doing everything by HF. I don't know if that.
I think I showed a little bit of that in that one screen under settings for the hybrid network there. It showed you 3 boxes that you could select.
I highly recommend everybody go, before you get involved in the hybrid network, you go download the documentation from the front page of the website and understand what you're getting into. I have these 3 designated because I'm doing testing. Normally I'd only have 2. This one's in Arizona, I get to reliably HF. This one's a couple hundred miles away, and this one's in Las Vegas, I get to. I have basically what I've done is I picked a couple of reliable daytime channels and a reliable nighttime channel. You register yourself via the internet or by radio. If you don't have internet, you can do this out in the ocean. Now you will appear like this. Wrong screen. I think we can do that, read this software now. No, here.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Display.
These are all the gateways that are registered as hybrid. They do both. They do normal WinLink, they do HF auto forward for email traffic, and they do HF only for radio call or tactical calls. So K6SDR has 129 registered users. And you update the list every once in a while because some new come in.
So I think some of this is getting into more of the advanced functions of tonight, guys. Remember that this is sort of a 101 to just give you a little bit of idea of how to get on, how to use it, and what the system is. I'm sure that if you talk to Augusto or George or Ramon there, and you want an advanced WinLink operations, they can reach out to us and we can put something together that's more advanced, going into some of the other features and connectivity with WinLink, APRS, and some of the stuff that you'll see that a lot of people don't use and can use as a benefit, especially in emergency communications.
When someone tells you that WinLink needs internet to operate, they don't know what they're talking about. Does it need internet for access to emails? Yes. Does it need internet for you to send traffic between radio calls across the nation? No. Everything is covered. And 90% of the traffic sent, a lot of it goes by HF auto forward. There are times in the Central America where the Honduran gateway will lose internet. I don't know why. It's in an EOC center. They just lose internet for 2 or 3 hours at a time. So the gateway automatically goes into HF auto mode. So the sailors can still send their traffic to the internet. It will send it to another gateway, usually one of the other gateways in Central America, because that's what the propagation matrix will select. Anyhow, does WinLink require internet completely? No, it does not.
Remember, that was one of the reasons why we covered in emergency planning for this. If you're putting in a permanent station, remember the cause and effect, all right? So if you are developing stations like you are in Brazil, make sure that you take into account what your mission is going to be, what you need it for, and look at the whole aspect the best that you can before you start putting the stations in. Because a lot of the times, people will start a project and not realize that, oh, well, we got to look at this or look at that. So put that plan in place, discuss it with your teams around the area. Make sure your teams also know the frequencies that you're going to be using in that, because they're going to rely on that. And if something changes in your plan, it has to go out to all the teams around your area, because if they don't know how to contact it, they could be that little island in the middle of no place that needs help running on out of date. Now they can check up and get their up-to-date frequencies and all that themselves by the radio if they know how to do it and if they've taken the time to learn how to do that. And we're not going to get into all of that tonight, but there is ways using your radio to know whether or not your softwares are up to date. If the people around you on your team have up-to-date software, you can check that out through winlink.org. There's an actual list there. So if you're not sure if you're up to date, go check and see if you're on the right side of the list. If you need to check the frequencies, you can do that from your client software. It's real simple. You can get a forecast of what's going to work for you in your area. It's all in the system now. It's been really well developed for emergency communications, so that if you get dropped off someplace and you have no internet, your system, if you've got it configured and you've played around a little bit and got to learn the basics, you can figure out real quickly what to use and how to use it.
There's this burning rush for everyone to want to install a full service WinLink gateway at an EOC 911 center. That's good. That's wonderful. You've provided another access point for HF users outside of the area. But what if you want to use it? Very few do this. We're going to be implementing this in the Central American gateways first. We have it implemented in California and state OAS facilities and locally here. Any gateway can be connected to on another computer in that same building through its own LAN. So if I have traffic and I want to go send that traffic and we've lost internet in the building, I don't need to worry about it. Why? Because I'm going to pretend I'm a client station. So when I go connect, I'm connecting to that gateway in the same building to send traffic. And if there's no internet, when I hang up, it's going to send it out. A lot of people don't take advantage of that. If you have a full service gateway in an EOC or a 911 center, simple configuration of the client software, and it can be on any computer, will allow you to use that gateway to send and receive your traffic as if you were in the middle of nowhere.
Any other questions?
Ian, VA3QT, a couple of feedback points.
Sure.
Grid squares. There's a couple of factors that I would add to the point that both you, Jason, and Mike have made, that this drives the propagation forecasts in your computer installation. But they are described, WinLink displays your location. If you go look for your location on the map and drill down, your location will be shown in the bottom left corner of the grid square. It's a security practice that was implemented at the beginning of the project, the WinLink 2000 project, as a basic security feature. The second thing is that many of the, particularly the big gun tri-mode, I use the term loosely, ground stations, have some very superior beam antennas. And so their software picks up your grid square when you connect to them, and they'll drive the beam around to your direction. If you're listening to the signal, you'll frequently hear the receive signal increasing as the two stations are going through the handshaking process to establish what mode and a level, particularly in the pack door. It could, if it's really crummy conditions, it'll downgrade to a lower level of pack door. Anyway, point of the grid square was it gets the other station to point at you. For those who have been involved with professional level communications in the military or similar paramilitary organizations, the term acknowledgement is used differently than the context that is used in the WinLink system. So if you get an acknowledgement back from the station that you're sending your message to, what it is telling you is it has arrived and it's sitting in the mailbox there, or the inbox, but it does not indicate that that anybody has actually read the thing. So if you would wind up supporting a client, a higher level client like an EOC, and it's absolutely critical that somebody knows that the recipient actually read the message and is responding appropriately. If you do a deep dive into the NATO level books, radio procedure books, you'll find that what you do is put the word acknowledgement as a single paragraph at the very end of your message. And that tells the real recipient, not the radio operator, to send you back a message. Question for Mike. I was just curious whether with all those POEs on the wall, are you guys plugged into the Southern California Arden nets? And last point, the robust packet, I understand, is exclusive to the SCS pack doors boxes, but as Mike mentioned, I know of nobody that's using it. Thank you.
Okay, robust packet box on the mind. It is only in the SCS tracker. It's not in the SCS Dragon modems. Even though it appears in there, you cannot use it. You can only use robust packet by buying the $300 SCS tracker, and only a few of the Europeans play with it. No, we're not part of Arden. No, we're not part of Mesh. Reason, I don't use it because it restricts what you can do in the US. We use Ubiquiti off-the-shelf items that are not been firmware changed. We have extreme ranges, and we have our own network. This network covers all of San Diego environs and most of Baja. It's all paid for by the amateurs. Every node, every location is all battery backup and on solar and hardened radio sites. I do not believe in using Arden in that way. Arden is a good tool if you want to go support a local event and set up some sort of mesh setup with a post office, but there are too many people that are establishing Arden networks with post office, and they're relying on internet to do all their work for them. I am not a believer in relying on the internet. Too many people like to use IRLP, it's internet. Too many people want to use APRS. If it's got internet connectivity and that's your main connection mode, good luck when the big one hits. Does that answer it, Ian?
Yes, thank you. I like your logic.
Okay, I do too.
Well, George, Augusto, I'm going to have to step out in a minute here. As I said earlier, I have to leave in a few minutes. So is there any other questions before I step out?
Out. About.
Okay, I guess we don't have any other questions for right now. So all I want to do is wrap this up and say thank you very much to Jay and to Mike for something we can learn an awful lot from tonight. I certainly did. And also thank you to everyone who's hung in. We had a few more a while back, but still quite a few on the session. Thank you very much for participating, and please keep checking the Region 2, the IARU-R2.org website. We are producing some additional workshops, and if you have ideas for workshops, specific topics you'd like to see covered, please send those off to the email address workshops@IARU-R2.org, and we'll put them in the hopper and we'll see what we can do with them. So,
I have something to give to Caesar that I just found.
oh, excellent.
Cesar, can you hear me?
Cesar.
Okay.
Hola.
Hola. ¿Cómo está?
Yes.
The call sign for the new Venezuelan gateway. I'm going to be logging into it in an hour to finish configuration. It is Yankee Victor 4 Kilo Whiskey. I say again, Yankee Victor 4 Kilo Whiskey.
A ver, Augusto, si me pudiera ayudar, por favor.
Sí, el colega con el que está viendo el tema de Venezuela es Yankee Victor 4 Kilo Whisky. Yankee Victor 4 Kilo Whisky. Con él está viendo el tema del gateway.
Sí, pues, muchas gracias por la información a Mike, y vamos a estar muy complacidos porque se pueda instalar este nuevo gateway en Venezuela.
Ok, señor. Yo comprendo. Adiós, Moro.
Okay, with that, all I'm going to do is wish everyone good night, stay safe, 7-3.
Okay, 7-3, goodbye.
Thank
you very much. Ciao, August.
Thank you very much to everybody. The next 2 weeks we have
Hamon,
satellite
ciao, Hamon.
workshops. And if anybody wants to have a look at the presentation again, it's available on the YouTube channel. You already have the website there. You can find everything there. Thank you very much. Good night, Jason. Thank you very much. And Mike,
No
the
problem.
same.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a
Okay,
good
ciao,
evening.
ciao.
7 trees.
Stan, I like your background.
Thank you. I try to find something a little funny.
That's nuts.
Oh.
That
Yeah,
one
if
is
you'd like a
probably
copy of
worth
it,
several $1,000s.
If you'd like a copy of it, email me at n3lu@arrl.net.
Okay, yes, let me write it down.
I thought maybe he just spent his retirement money on supply.
What is the call again, Stan?
November 3 Lima uniform at
ARRL?
Yeah, November 3 long underwear at arrl.net.
Okay. It is. It's very nice. Thank you very much.
You're
Well,
welcome.
thank you to all. Good night, and hope to see you in future events.
Hey, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Very much to everybody. 73. Good night.
Is
Thank
is
you.
this
Thank you for
green
all your efforts.
is this green screen feature built into the Zoom program?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this is only the second time that I've used Zoom, so I'm an absolute newbie at it.
You actually don't need a green screen to be able to do it.
You just need a fairly modern computer with enough processing power to be able to do it without green screen.
Okay.
Not always, because I have both of those, and unfortunately, the green screen is necessary if you have a very cluttered background like I do.
It's you can look up Zoom. What is it? You can look up for Zoom video backgrounds, and they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. Thanks very much, everyone, and to Jason and Mike. Thank you. It's been an excellent evening.
Yes,
Thank
they're
you.
very good. They're very good on this workshop. We really learn a lot. Thank you very much to all. Good night.
Everybody.
73 to
Bye.
everyone.